Hello and welcome. It's Anne at the Centered Mama Project, and I am so delighted to have for today's episode of the Mama Minutes a gorgeous friend from down under, Natasha Vanzetti, who is an amazing discovery coach and mentor. She's a mama to Zach, who's 13, Cassidy, who's 12, that's really close, and a constant source of energy, inspiration, and delight to everyone whose path crosses hers. I'm so happy to know her myself, and I know that you will be too. So welcome, Tash. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and it's so nice to have a really good chat with you. It's been long overdue, so this is very, very cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. And as you can hear, Tash is in Australia, and I'm in Geneva. So this is one of those times when I'm super excited and grateful to technology for being here and letting us, meet virtually in person. We're hoping in 2018. And to just be able to share some of the goodness that comes up when we interact with the rest of you. So let's dive right in. So
let's do it.
Tash, could you sum up in one or a few words your current experience of momming right now?
Delight, sheer delight. But there hasn't always been that way, but that's my current state.
So everyone is thinking, oh my God, how did you get there?
I mean, for me, my kids are 12 and 13. My son will soon be 14, so they're 20 months apart. So it's been busy. It's been a busy ride. But my kids are at that age now where they've got some independence. They're really fun to be with. They're becoming their own little human beings in such a bigger way. And it's just a real delight to see them evolve and to just, have that relationship with them now. So, we're really great friends, but also there's a lot of respect, but there's a lot of independence that I've sort of allowed them to have, and they're really embracing that, which is a beautiful thing to see.
Oh, that must create so much. I mean, at the same time, exist because you created the space for it, you and your husband, but also must create so much space for all of you, right? They have space to evolve and grow, and you also now have this you don't need to be kind of running after them and making sure they're not tripping down the stairs and so on.
Yeah, like you often think when your kids are little, they need you so much. And as they get older, they don't need you as much. They still do. It's just a very different need. They're still, obviously I'm chief taxi at the moment. They're not able to drive legally yet. I have taught them how to drive, but they're not legal yet. But it's a very different space now that they want that support and that they just want to know that you're there for them. And we have, even my son and I, we have really great D&Ms, and there's a lot of things he'll talk to me about which he can't share or doesn't feel like he can share with other people. So I still want to make sure I'm really available for them and still want to show them that they're supported and they're loved and they're cared for, but to also let them know that they've got independence and they need to respect and appreciate that as well. So it's really beautiful. They're both completely different. They have firm passions. Both of them are completely almost tunnel vision on the things they love to do. And it's so great to see them embrace that and go after it.
And beautiful that you give them that opportunity, right? Because I think sometimes we have our own stuff that we bring onto our kids' passions, and it's nice to give them the space to accompany them really on their journey. That's super.
Yeah. And, as they were younger, we let them try lots of different things, and then it was up to them to figure out which of the things that they wanted to pursue. And for my son, for example, who's very talented, and my husband's a keen mountain biker. I love mountain biking. We taught the kids mountain biking when they were very young, and it was something we all did as a family, and it was great. We had these visions of doing big mountain biking trips as a family, but as the kids got older, they're like, nah, not my thing. So it's, you can't force them to do things. And then my son was my husband's an avid soccer player. He played, high-level soccer for many years, loves watching it. That's his, football of choice. And my son was very talented as a young kid. He was playing Div 1 and was always selected, for rep squads and things like that. And he got to the age, I think at about maybe 9 or 10, or maybe 10, 11. And he's like, I actually don't like soccer. I don't want to play anymore. And my poor husband was heartbroken. And we sort of, he said, no, you need a team sport, and, insisted he played. And I could just see in his heart, it wasn't there. Like, he was talented, but he didn't want to be there. And I said, we can't force him to play a sport just because you love it. Or, for me, I wouldn't force him to do something I love just because I loved it. He had to find his own sport. And at the end of the day, with everything that he tried, he chose skateboarding, which, it's not a sport that I would ever imagine that we would embrace. But he has taken it on with his whole heart. He is so talented. he's making national comps, he's sponsored, he's doing all these things, and he's
Wow.
30. So, and that's because we've given him that freedom, I think, to, you know, just go and explore the thing that he wants to do. And he's so passionate about it that how can we say no to that?
Yeah. And also the fact that he has the space to do that, the fact that he has the space to pursue his passions without the weight of parental expectation means
Yeah.
that, you know, you were talking about the fact that you're great friends and the fact that there is a respect, and you didn't mention the word trust, but clearly that is implicit in respect
Yeah.
and in that kind of a positive relationship.
Yeah.
Trusting his knowing in what he wanted to
Yeah.
do as a sport, and trusting your daughter's knowing in what she wants to do as a sport, which I happen to know is one that it's a passion that you share.
Yeah.
But it's really beautiful to trust them, and that I think is something that we're not encouraged to do as parents, to trust our kids above our own knowing or above our own experiences or above our own baggage that we carry or that we hear.
Yeah, I mean, when he first started skating and we'd sort of take him to the skate park and we were, you know, we'd sit there for hours and hours. My daughter and I would take our camping chairs and our books because I didn't want to leave him there by himself when he first started. You know, he was still quite young. And it was like these hours and hours at the skate park. And eventually we'd, you know, stay for a less time and let him skate for a little bit by himself, and we'd come back. And then, you know, that trust gradually grew. And as his community of friends grew and we got to know the skaters he was with and that kind of thing, he was allowed to go by himself. And then he was allowed to get the bus by himself. So it's all of these little steps that we take. He's always had a lot more independence than kids his age, but he's also shown that respect and that understanding of what that means from a very young age as well. Like he's always appreciated and valued that independence that he was given, and he's never shown any reason for us to, you know, not give him more. And then once we realised what his passion was, we supported that. So I would often, and I still do, we often do day trips to Sydney, which is about 3 hours from the city that we live in, Canberra. And he'd get a few mates over and they'd all stay here, and we get up really early in the morning and I'd drive them to Sydney to all the big skate parks, and they'd skate all day. And then we'd drive home that night. The boys would all just pass out and sleep. And I mean, that's the thing. And people say, oh, you're mad. And I'm like, why? That's what he loves. And I get to be part of his growth in that. So, you know, and my daughter's madly, you know, in love with horses. So that's possibly my fault because I was also in love with horses.
We have one of those here too.
Yeah, it's just her passion. She's pursued it with gusto, and she's, you know, it's a happy place. So why would you take that away from her? And, you know, she's an amazing manifester, my little girl, who's also as tall as me. My kids, you know, I feel like a midget in my house now. They're quite tall. But she always wanted her own horse. And I tried to say, you know, it's a big responsibility. I'm not sure you'll ever get your own horse, you know, for quite a while, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we came across this beautiful friend of ours who had several horses on her property, and she kept inviting Cassidy out to ride and to stay for weekends and just to be with the horses. And then they started doing endurance rides together and events together. And she was a teacher at my daughter's school. So it was a really great, you know, they didn't have children of their own, so they kind of adopted her in. And then it turns out they've actually gifted Cassidy a horse of her own. So she has manifested a horse, which, you know, it's a free horse, but we obviously cover the cost, and which is not. But I said to my husband, like, you can't say no to this opportunity. This is her life. He was her favourite on the farm. And yeah, they said, would you be able to take him over for us? And we're like, Cassie's like, So, you know, she's very, very lucky. And, you know, it's a massive time commitment and financial commitment to maintain a horse and to look after them and be there. But, you know, that's the thing she loves. So that's what we do.
That's amazing. Oh, I have goosebumps. As a dreamer of owning a horse my entire childhood and teenage years, I was telling we have this conversation with Amelia, who's our youngest, and I often will say to her, like, I know that you want a horse. I know that this is your dream, and maybe you'll get one. And my husband gets really upset and he says, but it's so much money. I say, yeah, but you have no idea. Like, you don't know. Maybe someone will need her to board a pony. Maybe we have no idea. Let's play with it and see. And I was saying to her, the closest I ever got was a life-sized picture printed and framed of Sultan du Jardin, who's a Self Français. I still remember him, and this picture is still printed in my mother's house. So I was so desperate and just didn't understand that my parents weren't willing to buy and then export the horse from France to Canada for me when I was 13. Just didn't, like, it was so heartless. And so I had this poster hanging over my bed until I went to uni, and even after. I mean, it was there until my mother moved. And yeah, I can really relate to that. But wherever being able to, I have goosebumps because wherever you're able to let your kids, to make the space, not to let them, but to make the space for them to follow their passions and to accompany them. It's just such an important lesson.
Well, I had a horse when I was growing up. I lived in the country, so it was much easier then, pretty much everyone around me had a horse, or anyone that had a horse I quickly befriended as a young girl. And then when I was 10, I got my own horse. And then when my daughter came along and we would go back and visit my grandmother, so I sold my horse when I was 18 and had to move overseas. I think I cried for days when I had to sell him. But anyway, I'd take my daughter back to my grandmother's house where I grew up. And I would take her riding on the neighbour's horse, and he was the guy that used to help me with my horse when I was a young girl. And then she just got hooked. She just fell in love with them, and I'm like, uh-oh.
What have I done?
Yeah, what have I done? But it is a beautiful, like, they're such amazing creatures, and the bond she has with Costello, her horse, is just beautiful. She pines for him. If we're not at the paddock every day, she's pining. So we're going away for a week over Christmas, and she's already saying, oh my God, I won't see him for a week. What am I going to do?
Oh, he's her best friend, isn't he?
He is. And it's a really nice thing for them to have. And it teaches them a lot of responsibility. Like, she's 12 and she understands, their feeding schedule and all of the care and the maintenance that they take, and just looking after him. And, any video that she does watch is horse related. So she learns so much. She's taught herself so much about, the breed and just caring for them, and horsemanship and all of these beautiful things. So it's great.
Amazing. So sort of switching gears quite a lot, coming back to your experience as a mama, what's the most valuable thing that anyone has ever done for you since you started your journey as a mom?
I think the most valuable things I can think of would actually be time away from them. And as much as I love my kids, we didn't have family in the city that we lived in. It was just the two of us, my husband and I. So we would often, be the tag team. He would go out, I would go out, one would stay home with the kids. I was never great at asking for help when they were little. I thought I had to do it all myself, and no one else could, do that, because my son wasn't a great sleeper, and I didn't want to know, all the stories that we have about why we can't let someone else give us a break.
Yeah.
And my parents live a few hours away, but every January they would be on holidays from their work, and they'd say, do you want us to take the kids for a week? And I'll tell you what, those weeks were just amazing. Like, people that have family close by, and I'd have my friends who, she's like, I've just got to drop the kids off to my mum so I can go do the groceries. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh no, I don't do grocery shopping with my kids. And I'm like, oh. So just simple things, you have a baby, like a newborn and an active toddler, and you're trying to do groceries. And yes, I could have done online shopping, but I didn't think of that all the time, and it wasn't as available back then, I guess. But when my mother would offer to take them for a week at a time, like once or twice a year, like it wasn't all the time, but that was just heaven on earth. My husband and I could just be ourselves. We would just, I remember one New Year's, she had them. We'd had a week down the coast with all the family. Then Mum said, do you want me to take the kids for a week home with me? And we came home, and we had all these invitations to New Year's Eve parties, and we actually just sat in our own backyard in beautiful summer evening and just had time alone, like without having to be mum and dad. And it was very precious.
Oh, so blissful. Yes. And that,
so I just wish I'd learned to ask sooner for support in that way. But, when you're doing it all yourself, you kind of think, oh no, it's fine.
Right. Yeah. That's something that I talk about a lot, is that superhero cape, the super mama cape that we wrap around ourselves, that it's fine, I can do it. And it kind of, it hardens and becomes a bit like a turtle's shell, where inside you're all mushy, and you actually are kind of, you're kind of paddling, and you're trying to keep above water, but the outside looks so strong and so firm.
Yeah.
We don't actually, it's a disservice we do ourselves to not allow for other people to come in. And also it's a disservice to others, because people want to help and they want to spend time with our kids. And it would be great for other adults that we trust, obviously, to spend time with our kids, because it's good for them to get a richness of experience, right?
My girlfriend would try, like, just let me come in for a couple of hours, Tash, just have a break. No, it's fine. So everyone would sort of see this strong facade, and, oh, Tash, you're so organized, you have it all together, like you just manage things so well. And yeah, they didn't see the hours of me bawling in the shower because I was so exhausted, or not being able to, figure things out, or not have the control I thought I would have, as a parent, being in so control in so many other areas of my life. And that was one thing I wish I'd figured out sooner, was asking for help and being okay with being able to take a break, and not, you're no less of a mother because you're not the only carer of them. I think that's the one thing that I share with friends now that have young children and feel obliged to be attached to them 24/7. I'm like, you know, you need time for you, and you're no less their mother if they have other carers. Like, it's okay.
That is such a nugget of wisdom that you've just virtually deposited in our collective palm, because that was my next question, was what, can you tell me about a time that you wish that you had asked for support? I don't know if there's one in particular where that you can think of.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a lot, but there's one in particular that comes to mind. And my daughter was she was only a few weeks old, maybe 4 or 5 weeks old, maybe. She was very fresh. And I was trying to hold it all together and be the stoic, yes, yes, yes. And friends of ours, there was 2 weddings, like a Friday and a Saturday wedding. And we went to the Friday wedding, and it was all lovely. And, you know, I was really upset because I didn't fit into anything. I had, you know, the massive milk boobs and still a lot of baby weight. I put on a lot of weight with both my kids, and there's still a lot of weight there. And I was so frustrated because I had nothing nice to wear to this wedding. And then we did the wedding and we held it all together, and a big storm hit. So it was just a big drama to get this newborn and this toddler and everyone, you know, at the wedding and from the rain, and rushed in. And then the next day we had another wedding to go to, and the same dilemma. I was exhausted. I was tired. I had nothing to wear. I felt just, ugh. And I said to my husband, like, it's fine. I'm just going to stay home. Zach is, you know, my son had a bit of a sniffle, and the weather was still unstable. And I said, we're just going to stay here. We'll be fine. You go and enjoy the wedding. And I had no problems with him going. It was his friend. You know, you go and enjoy it. We'll be fine. He's like, are you sure? And sure. Yeah, we're fine. Anyway, I just lost it. I sat there bawling the whole afternoon, so depleted and sad, and wondering why I was the one stuck at home and why couldn't I figure this out. And I don't know whether it was a little bit of, you know, postnatal depression that I hadn't acknowledged, or I was just in such a sad state. And I'm looking at these kids going, I have 2 perfectly healthy children. Why do I feel so sad and tired? But I wouldn't even ring up my girlfriend and say, can you come and help me? Or can you just come and, you know, have a cuppa with me? I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my husband. He'd ring to check in. How you going? Yep, I'm fine. Everything's fine. So I think they're the moments that I wish that I had just picked up the phone and said to my girlfriend, can you just come over and hang out with me? Or can you just give me 10 minutes? Like, yeah.
Yeah, those moments of, I'm having a wobble and I just need somebody to look me in the eye and say, I'm here. You don't need somebody to fix it. You don't need somebody to reassure you that you're okay. You literally just, in those moments, particularly as a young mom, and I suffered really, really, really strongly with postnatal depression with my first, never diagnosed. I was in Spain and I had only just learned to speak Spanish. I spoke it well, but it wasn't a language that, had I gone for therapy, for instance, I would have been particularly helpful, because I just didn't have the vocabulary yet. I literally had learned Spanish in 7 weeks, so I just couldn't, I couldn't express myself as I needed to. And yeah, having those moments and telling everyone that I was okay, and then going home and literally shaking with the terror of having taken my baby out into the streets of Barcelona, which are mad with traffic and all the rest, and sound and pollution, and you know, and it was just so much to then come back in. I felt so fragile, and like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And that's what I hear in what you're saying too. You know, he went to the wedding, and there you are with these 2 beautiful kids. Why am I feeling this way? And what it boils down to is, what is wrong with me? I'm doing
I didn't feel like I could. I couldn't voice that I was struggling. I didn't even want to tell him. I wanted him to be off having a great time, and he was ringing and checking in, and I just, it's fine. No, we're fine, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know why I didn't feel like I could just say, actually, I'm having a really shit afternoon. Can someone please come and hang out with me?
Yeah. And now
we don't want to show any sign of weakness. We just think, no, we've got to have this. Everyone else seems to have it figured out. Why can't I?
Yeah. And in fact, what it is just humanity, right? Like, we're all our future selves in training. And so what's so wrong about, you know, you wouldn't expect a baby to come out of your womb walking, thank goodness. So, you know, why do we expect it of ourselves, especially when we're new moms? Like, that expectation that we will just figure it all out, because it is different for every single person. And and the situations change with every baby, and you're not the same person that you are when you have your first as you are when you have your second and when you have your third and so on. Like,
and every baby is completely different as well. Like every birth is different. Well, both my births were very different. Both babies had very different temperaments, very different needs. So even though, and some days, look, honestly, some days were amazing. And I thought, oh my God, I have this nailed. And I was showered, you know, at a reasonable time, and we'd leave the house and there was no crying, and they'd nap together, and like I felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
And the next day you'd wake up and it's the complete upside down, inside out of that. And you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think one thing I did learn, and it took me a while to figure it out, is on how I started my day was how the day went. So if I woke up tired and grumpy and agitated, they would obviously sense that, and the whole day would slowly unravel. Not every time, but I soon figured out if I woke up happy and energetic and we'd had a great sleep and I was positive, then the day went so much better. But it took me a while in that state to figure out that it was really up to me at the very first moment of my day to choose the mood of the day, I guess.
Well, that is a really nice segue into one of the few questions I have left, which is today, but also then, like, how do you work self-love? Or I like talking about self-love more than self-care, because self-care can sometimes feel a bit surfacey, but true self-love into your real mama life. Maybe it's easier now that they're older. How did you do it? Did you do it when they were younger? What, you know, how did you fit that in?
I mean, for me, the big thing was dropping a lot of the expectation I put on myself to have the perfect house, the perfect routine, the perfect everything. And when I let that go, and when I accepted that some days were going to be amazing and some days were going to be a little bit shitty, and I accepted that, and that was okay, that took so much pressure off myself, and it allowed me to really enjoy the moments that we had together, whether they were good or bad, or whatever that label was. I don't like saying bad, but, you know, whether they were unsettled or the house was a mess or we had food in our hair or whatever it was, I got okay with that. And when I dropped that expectation on myself, and I think allowed myself to just enjoy the moments and not have it all figured out, and just know that, you know, it was okay for me to take a break and have time for myself every now and then. And that's still a practice of mine today, in the sense that I start every day, or pretty much every day, with an hour or two to myself outside. I go for a sunrise run, I take my dog out, and I have all that time to myself, usually before the family wakes up. So when I get home, I've already had at least 1 or 2 hours of Tasha time, and I'm set up for my kids, I'm set up for my clients, I'm set up for my husband, and it's just such an amazing way to start the day, rather than just getting up and just being on and into reactive mode from the get-go. So
you've already given us quite a few amazing nuggets, but is there, if you could go back and tell new mama Tasha one thing, what would it be?
Ask for help. Don't try and do everything yourself. Do not. It's okay to ask for support. There are people there that want to support you, and accept it. Let them help you. Yeah, I wish I'd taken that advice sooner.
Yeah, we can be, we can have a will to be independent that is beautiful and really serves us in so many ways, but it is also, like everything, has another side and can be really harmful.
Yeah.
So last question. What is the funniest thing that's happened in your life this week? Because we've been talking about serious things, so something funny that's happened in your life this week.
I don't know of something specific, but I do remember throughout the week, my daughter and I, we spend a lot of time together. She's on school holidays at the moment, and she's a bit of a shadow. She's sort of that Velcro daughter that loves to be exactly by my side. And, you know, she had a dream. She said, I had a dream the other day that we've got the same running gear and we did 6 laps of the lake as twinsies. And she wants us to wear the same clothes. And, you know, she will grow out of it. She's 12, but she wants us to be matchy all the time. But we just, I don't know, we just have this little banter that we have going all the time. We make jokes and just silly little comments and silly little sayings, and we just giggle a lot. So I wouldn't say there's one specific, I can't remember a specific phrase or joke that we shared, but there's always lots of little giggles and banter and just silliness between us. And I think that's really fun. I think that's so when you have that with your kids, it's awesome.
What a privilege too, no, to really be, to be accompanying your children rather than feeling the weight and the pressure to be raising them all the time, but just to be like, wow, I'm discovering who you are as a person. And now you're 12 and you want to be twinsies. And in 6 months, you'll want me to drop you around the corner from school because you don't want anyone to see you with me. It's just,
so I'm enjoying the moments as I can. And like last night, I was on quite a few late calls because I'm in Australia. Most of my clients are global, so there's time zones, all over the place.
Yeah.
And I came out of the office sort of in the evening, and she'd made this beautiful chocolate cheesecake and had completed everything herself. And we had my in-laws over for dinner last night, so she'd prepared the whole dessert, and it was all done. Not one stroke of assistance. And I came out and I went, that is amazing. Thank you. So that's it. The other nugget I will share is teach your kids to cook very young. Get them in the kitchen with you very young. I used to have my kids on knives at 5, and my grandmother would freak out, one of them. My other one was fine because I was in the kitchen with her from a very young age. And now they cook dessert for you, and they make meals for you, and they can feed themselves, and you don't have to worry.
Oh, so good. My little one, my 8-year-old, made us dinner last night with a young woman who collects them from school on Wednesdays, because in Geneva, school ends at noon on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
For anyone who's working, it's a little challenging. And she picked the recipe, went to the grocery store, did the shopping, came home, figured out the quantities, did the cooking. And she had made a dessert for everyone. And because I'm not eating sugar right now, she made me a fruit salad that was in the shape of a Christmas tree with like a clementine, a clementine star on the top. And everybody had this incredible meal that, we need to work on timings because it was cold by the time we all sat down, but it was phenomenal. And she's decided she can do it every week. Bring it on. Some help.
And they seem to feel, have this sense of achievement themselves when they do it, and they love to do it. But I know so many people just won't allow their kids to have that freedom. And when they're starting out, it's always messy. There's always things that go wrong. But that's how we learn, and that's how we experiment. And, my daughter has a few allergies, so quite often she has to be very limited in what she can eat, and dairy-free and gluten-free. And so the cheesecake with her was a massive treat, and maybe that's why it was a hit. But she went in and discovered all these recipes that are dairy and gluten-free, and she's creating all these amazing things because she knew that would help her. So to give her that gift, I think, is amazing, that she can now, take control of her own health going forward and know that it's okay for her to go and make the things she needs herself.
Yeah. Again, another example of making space and letting them follow their own path. And it's such a valuable thing for us to do, to trust our kids and to trust ourselves as moms. That's something that has come up as well in these conversations, is really to just trust yourself and trust your knowing and trust your kids and their knowing. And it just takes so much of the pressure off, doesn't it?
And let go of all that expectation we have on ourselves as mothers or perfect mothers. There is no such thing.
Thank goodness.
Just dropping that expectation is a big one.
Yeah. Well, Tash, I know you've got lots of things to do. It's just before Christmas at time of recording, and we're all kind of looking at the finish line and wanting to get all of our work stuff done and everything sorted. So I'm ever so grateful to you for coming on today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, personally, selfishly, and also for all of the mamas listening and watching. Huge kiss from Geneva.
Yes.
My microphone from
excellent.
Australia. And I will look
well
forward to talking to you.